Let's talk about facial coverings from a Jersey point of view and about a man who my father's best friend actually represented in courts after he was apprehended and arrested because he met the description of the man in the mask. First, a little background on a guy you probably only know from a movie or a song, an African-American boy born in Bergen County, New Jersey, in the town of Clifton, a Palisade Hudson River community just above the George Washington Bridge. He was an inner city kid who Joe Biden would say could not breathe. The fourth child of 7. Bad family life, despite a 2-parent family with a strict disciplinary father figure in the home. Underperforming public schools. Tours through juvenile prison once for stabbing a man. But in 1954, he made a decision to change his life. Turned things around and joined the Army as an infantryman. Trained at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, where I trained myself. And even that didn't work out quite well. After 4 courts martial, he was back on the mean streets in Jersey. But a little further southwest in the area of Patterson, a place where Joe Clark, remember Lean On Me, had to turn around a high school decades later, where, like the character in Carlito's Way, the bad life called him right back. And before he knew it, he was up in Rahway State Prison, scared straight, convicted for 2 muggings. But even after all of that, this young fighter did not give up. He kept that dream alive. It didn't explode, despite being a dream deferred, and he decided to take up boxing, become another Joe Louis or Cassius Clay. He thought he could be a contender. But on a fateful night in 1966, just when his boxing career was taking off, he was knocked out again, and the referee began to count. As Wikipedia, not exactly your most reliable source, tells the story, in 1966, the year I was born, the year that Planned Parenthood actually announced success in reducing the population explosion by having more abortions in Trenton, New Jersey, Reuben Hurricane Carter and his cousin John Artis were arrested for a triple homicide committed at the Lafayette Bar and Grill in Patterson, New Jersey. Shortly after the killings at 2:30 a.m., a car containing Carter, Artis, and a third acquaintance was stopped by police outside the bar on their way home from a nearby nightclub. They were allowed on their way, but after dropping off the third man, Carter and Artis were stopped passing the bar a second time 45 minutes later and arrested, just like the Freedom Riders who were killed in Mississippi. The victims in the Lafayette Bar and Grill were all white, and they were all had black face coverings. Like current times, the incident took place during a period of high racial tensions, exacerbated in the press, putting pressure on the police to close the case. Carter, who had a history of violence, and his cousin John Artis, who had practically no criminal record at all, were interrogated for 17 hours. Released, then rearrested weeks later. In 1967, they were convicted of all 3 murders in a gruesome murder scene and given life sentences. Served in Rahway State Prison. A retrial in 1976 confirmed their sentences. And it was not until 1985 that their convictions were finally overturned. And even after all of that, the prosecutors decided that they wanted to try to throw Hurricane Carter back in jail again in an attempt to retry the case. All of this simply because of the mask he was wearing in a time of great racial tensions and political divisions. 2 decades in prison because the covering on his face just happened to meet the description of the man who killed 3 persons in a gruesome crime scene on the side with the majority in political power. But you're saying, what does that have to do with me? Because I am not black. Well, my friend, in a pandemic crisis, you certainly are. Because the majority in power decided to name you as a COVID-19 suspect that made you wear a mask just like an Antifa terrorist. And that same majority power can decide that you are now Reuben Carter because you met the description of the man who actually committed that crime. And unless you have 20 years to think about whether or not you can breathe, this is a matter that deserves your immediate attention because the referee is beginning to count. Hey, champ, how many fingers do you see? My name is Major Mike Webb, and I am running for U.S. Congress. With liberty, honor, and excellence, by God, we shall make America great again. Honest.
Sinful creature, there is none weaker than I am. I am a seeker, and you are a teacher. You are a reacher, so reach down, reach out and lead me, guide me and keep me in the shelter of your care each day. A seeker, and you are a keeper. You are a leader, won't you show me the way? Oh, you're a mountain from which there flows a fountain, so let its water wash my sins away. Seeker, and you are a keeper. You are a teacher, won't you teach me the way? Reach out and lead me, guide me and keep me in the shelter of your care each day. 'Cause I am a seeker, and you are a keeper. You are a leader, won't you show me the way? You are a leader, won't you show me?
This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.